Hey, what's going on, guys? Union Pacific Omaha here. Now, today we are going to be starting a new series where we take a more in-depth look on certain sections of my layout. Now, today for the first episode, we are going to be taking a look at the yard, train station, and industries before we move into the city, the areas where are more scenic, like what we're looking at right now, and other plans I have for this layout in the future. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we are going to start at the front of the yard, at the front of my layout to start it off. So there's not too much detail here, but there's a few things to point out. So here there is over here a little memorial to the Civil War. And there's not too much detail on it. As you can see, there's a few people there looking at the plaques, the cannon, and just paying respect. And in this scene at the front, there isn't too much detail. We have a little dwarf signal here with a red over green, which means he can't stay on the main line, but he can switch tracks into the siding where Amtrak is sitting currently. And there's a few signs. We have one that says right there that says slow. What does that one say? This one says stop ahead. We have one that says railroad crossing. One that says what does that say? Close clearance, just in case I don't want trucks and stuff to get stuck on the tracks. And we're going to take a look at a few other little details. It has to do with the railroad and not just signs and stuff. We're going to get into that real quick. So here, taking a look here at the switch, we have a whistleboard marker post and a little milepost marker, as well as a telephone pole. And right here, I know you guys can't see that, but that one says 20 for the speed limit. And then we have another little dwarf signal there, which is a red over red currently. And so that is gonna about do it for up here. We're gonna move a little bit. So we have a few more telephone poles in the station. I added a few little trees just to move some stuff around. But that about does it for over here. We're going to get to the other side of the layout after we take a little look at what's going on in the yard. So one of the reasons I'm doing this series is just to appreciate some of the little details. Now, I know in my layout there isn't too much detail around. It's nowhere near a finished layout or anything like that. But I just want to let you guys take a look at some of the little features that you've probably never noticed and give more credit to certain areas of the layout. I don't really take videos with operating sessions in, so I'm going to try and do more of that, but we're going to start in the yard. So here at the first little loading dock, we have a railroad property, keep out, no trespassing sign really. We have a few little containers sitting here. Here's a little access road that goes back to the yard and the industries. But here on the first loading dock, we have two little forklifts sitting, some tankers, little tank gallons, or oil barrels, more little freight and cargo sitting. And then these two tracks right here are for intermodal service. So we have my crane here, which it does lower, but it doesn't really work because it always drops out the things. Otherwise, I would have done some action with that. I think it's a pretty cool little feature. Moving to the other loading dock, we have a few crates and where these are, but I'm not quite sure. We have a little way to get up to the loading dock here, and we do have some men at work carrying some boxes and loads and all sorts of stuff gonna put on cars, which might be realistic to put a box car if they're gonna put that little sort of stuff. That wouldn't be going in an intermodal car unless it was going in one of the little containers. But we're gonna move over here now. Ooh, just stepped on some stuff. So over here I just have random loads sitting, like my wrecked NSGP40, a boat, some little wood logs, and we're going to get into the rest as we move to the other side of the layout. So let's do that. I am here at the other side of the layout, so we're going to take a closer look at the yard and some other features. So in the tracks where I store freight cars, there's not really any detail. There's nothing really to take a look at other than maybe I sit my trailers here and containers and all sorts of shipments that will go on cars. And we're going to take a look over here. So here's the little access road. We have a truck leaving. Unfortunately, this 50-foot boxcar did fall off the layout and break, so I just keep the shell of it, just store it right here, just as, I don't really know, just behind my fire station. And then here's a little industry that I have. This building used to be right there, there's a little yard track that led to it, or not yard track, but off the main line industry track that led to it. But now I've put it over here. We have a few little small containers into it and some trucks waiting to haul out some loads. That's about it for this section. We're gonna move over to the yard tracks now. There's nothing here that we already haven't gone over. So right here, this is a small little refueling track. So we have two -9 sitting here, my MTH-9 and my dummy Athearn Blue Box, Southern Pacific XSP, I guess I could say, -9, which I don't have patches for it, but I really want to get some. Might have to invest in that, so just add a little more detail, because I run this one a lot with my other -9, because I do not have very many locomotives, and that's something we're going to talk about in another episode, about me earning money, getting more locomotives, more variety, more freight, that kind of thing. But I want to add more detail to the layout as well. So here's a little track where I store a tank car, which is, this is my only tank car. We'll talk about that when I need more freight, which I do. And we have this GP38-2 sitting, which go watch my product review on this locomotive, because it's not mine. It's a little bit of a backstory to it. But moving over to where the train station is, there's not really any detail there. The station sitting here, Amtrak, and my Bachmann ACS-64 just sitting here with these are Bachmann cars as well, these Amtrak cars. And then we have my local railroad sitting here with a string of cars. And then we do have a little sign here, yard limit sign. And then we have this little edge thing that my dad and I made. So basically, we just cut random pieces of cardboard, or not cardboard, styrofoam, painted it brown, and put on some grass, trees. And it does have a little bit of detail on it, as we do have some deer here. Sorry if it's a little shaky. I'm not using my tripod. That'd be easier for handheld. And that about does it for this area. We've covered about this little section over of the layout, and we are going to move to the more industries over here. Alright, we're going to start over here and take a look at some of the other industries and features over here. Dang it, the furnace is kicking on, but that shouldn't bug me too much. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the track. So this is main track 2 because it loops on to track 1, and then this is main track 1. This is more of a yard lead if I had bigger trains, but I don't have a big yard or anything like that, so it doesn't really count. So a little detail here, we have a railroad property keep out sign, and then we have a little few buildings here with my grain elevator. This is one of the oldest buildings on the layout, this grain elevator. It's been here, it's never been moved, it's always been here next to the track and next to this industry. But yeah, I like it here. I don't think it needs to be moved. Even though a lot of things have been changed about the layout, this is one that's never been changed. It was put here and it has never been moved. So we're gonna take a closer look now. So off of the main track into the yard, there's a switch. It goes right here, and then this is one of the industries. So this track right here is for the grain elevator track. So we have all sorts of grain cars that would hold it. And you may be wondering, yes, we will get into the farm into another episode, because there's quite a lot of detail into it that I want to discuss and show you guys. So we will get into that, as well as the city, scenic area of the layout, and operations and stuff like that. So yeah, these are like cars I don't use very often because they have bad couplers on them. So these are just Conrail cars that just sit here basically at all times. I will replace the couplers soon and maybe get them better for connecting to my other freight cars. But we'll take a look at that. But first, after that, we have this other building here, which I'm not really sure what I'm going to have it as, for some sort of producer. But it's a small little building. At the front, we have a guy sitting there, someone waving to a train, and another person just sitting there. But there's a little detail in the back, which I'll get to in a second. But we have another little switch here that you can go either to this track or you have freight cars here. We're going to talk about that little scene back there in a minute. The layout now. We're going to take a look at this little scene. So I do have a gondola here, a little hopper, and a covered hopper. So as you can see, we have a front end loader scooping stuff out of the gondola and putting it into this truck. Now this has never been here before. I just thought, well, I'm going to clean up the layout a little bit to make these videos. So might as well add a cool little scene while we can. So that's what happened, and I'm really pleased with it. And yeah, that's gonna about do it for the industries and yard section of my layout. Thanks so much for watching. I'll leave you guys with maybe a run by or two. Thanks for watching. Union Pacific Omaha out.